Guys, welcome back to our favorite podcast and so far our only podcast, Free Range Connections. Today, we're here to talk about one of my favorite weeks happening in McEwen, Pride Week. So, with us, we have another favorite host,
I'm Aisha, and
Stefania.
today we have a wonderful guest speaker here with us. Her name is Solara. We are very privileged and very honored to have Solara join our podcast today to talk about very interesting conversations surrounding colorful representations, Pride Month, Black History Month, as well as their experiences inside and outside of McEwen University. So before we begin, do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners and just tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Solara Doma. I work at the Office of Human Rights and Office of Sexual Violence Prevention, Education, and Response. Pronouns she, her. I've been working at McEwen for about collectively 3 to 4 years. I worked at SAMU, and then I moved on to Roundhouse, and before I got my position at the Office of Human Rights. And yeah, I've been a student here as well. I graduated in 2024, and so I've been at McEwen since about 2019.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. As you can see, Solara has been everywhere. I feel like if you are a McEwen student that's usually like on campus, there's no way you wouldn't have come across Solara because like there's just something about her energy that's like very, very, that just goes unnoticeable. So that brings us to our next question, which is, what does representation mean to you beyond visibility?
Yeah, absolutely. I think representation means so many things depending on, especially where it is, like at school, at McEwen, the more Black people, the more queer people, and the more Black queer people I feel like I saw on campus, the more comfortable I felt to sort of express myself. I remember like maybe my first 2 years, I don't think I really expressed myself a lot through fashion and through like outwardly, like my clothes and everything. But I remember I went to, I think SAMU put on a drag show at Towers, and I remember just like experiencing that energy. And I was like, whoa, like there are queer people here on campus. And I remember seeing so many cool like people of color just sort of expressing themselves through fashion. And that sort of helped encourage me to also do the same. And so since then, I love to wear anything that sort of I feel like represents my mood or just like my current fashion taste. And yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So, guys, actually, she mentioned like an interesting point, and it's like events happening in McEwen, hosted by SAMU or hosted by McEwen, when you can actually meet community and experience like being openly queer and like make friends. Because one thing that we always talk about in this podcast is like about community and how important it is to be surrounded by that here in our school. So, for example, Solara, like after you went to those events hosted by Samuel in McEwen, such the track show and there's Sexy Bingo and like many more that comes like Pride Week, like have you feel like you are supported by McEwen? Because we can always talk about like how we feel lonely. It's a small community, especially like being Black and being queer. It's like people say like it's a plus, like everything comes together. So do you feel like you have support here at McEwen? Like you can go to an office, you can go to SAMU, and how does it feel to have that support if you can find it here?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, yeah, McEwen definitely was a place that made me feel very supported. I would say if I didn't feel supported, I would have definitely felt a bit more scared to express myself again through fashion like I did when I was a student here. I want to say one big thing that really, or one big place that made me feel supported was CSGD. I remember sort of visiting that room. It's a very queer room. They have a lot of resources, and there's always like queer students or queer employees even around in that space, always being very welcoming, greeting you with a smile, asking you like how your day was. And I do just think that made me feel so supported on campus. And it also made me want to try my best to give that support to other people, no matter where I was. If it was at work when I was working at SAMU, if it was just like in a classroom, if it was just through the hallways, complimenting someone's outfit, just trying to like brighten their day.
Okay, I feel like my favorite part was the complimenting of someone's outfit. There's just something about being able to like see someone truly represent themselves with the way they dress and like acknowledge it. And it also kind of reaffirms the person as well, even though some people actually are not seeking validation. But there's just something about the fact that you put on something and sometimes you are not very comfortable or like confident in it. And then someone walks up to you and says, I love your outfit. It literally would just brighten up your day. Please keep complimenting people's outfits. And nobody's ever going to be like, why are you saying that my outfit looks nice? I feel like you will always get like a really good response. But my follow-up question to you is, how has your experience been with Black History Month and Pride Month? Because I know that, as you have said, there have been events and there have been communities that you've been able to kind of join or like help serve as a form of representation or relatability for you to be able to feel like yourself. But tell us a little bit more about your experience with Black History Month per se, or particularly, or Pride Month as a McEwen student.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's been a while since, or it feels like it's been a while since I've been a student, but I do recall during McEwen's Pride Week, I feel like I'd always see lots of flags like waving around. I'd see lots of the different clubs sort of, they'd get like a boosted awareness. And I know that CSGD would always put on like an event like every single day. I don't remember exactly what it was or what event it was, but it was after hours. And I just remember sort of going to this event that CSGD put on during Pride Week. And it was like, I entered that room. I feel like there were a few professors even there, and someone spoke about their experiences as a queer person in Alberta. And there were also just like so many little things to help decompress. And I think that was something that was really nice as well, because a lot of the times as a student, you're already like so stressed with midterms, with exams, with trying to like pass and everything. And so when you had an event where they'd give you some food, they'd give you some refreshments, they'd have like a coloring page or something, and you get to like be social, I think that really helped me decompress. And on the Black History Month side of things, I'm trying to remember if there's like a specific event that really spoke to me, but I do remember they'd have sort of a lot of books and everything in the library during Black History Month. They'd have lots of displays, and I remember I would take a peek at a lot of those books, and it really helped me get more into Black literature, I would say. There was a magazine, or it was like a zine, that I found in the library when they were on display. And ever since then, I've been really into sort of like involving myself more into zines and like seeing how local artists and like local creators, local writers create things to just like express themselves and talk about their experiences, especially as Black people. So yeah.
And like, actually, like the library part, it's quite different, guys, because library in McEwen dresses for us. Like it sounds interesting, but whenever we have something like a special going on, like for example, let's say we have Black History Month, there are like everything is decorated with Black History Month. There are tables with books that talk about like Black History Month. So like the same happened with like Pride Week. There's gonna be like displays of Pride Week. There's gonna be like portraits of people, important people around McEwen that are like openly queer. So it's like if you truly want to have some kind of like exposure to everything that is going on, I would say open your eyes in the library, because there's always something good to find there, just like Solara did like a couple years ago. Back then. So guys, I really love when we talk about growth and about changes. And the first couple of questions you mentioned something about fashion, right? So for example, I will say that for many people, fashion is something like really big, really important. I feel like I'm still in the process of discovering what fashion looks for me, because it's not like I have like a specific kind of style. But for Solara here, for example, fashion has been a part of like discovering how she carries herself towards the world. So how fashion has played an important part of you portraying yourself as a Pride woman, as a Pride Black woman.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been definitely like a journey. I feel like there's lots of stigma around certain type of like attire and everything. And the first thing I think of are do-rags. As a Black person, I feel like there's lots of stigma behind like do-rags, and even as a Black woman, like bonnets and everything. But I remember when I was a student, I wanted to incorporate do-rags into my fashion. And so that was a big thing that I would do. I'd wear a do-rag that would sort of color coordinate with my outfit. I'd put some charms in there as well to sort of add like my own little flair. At first, I did feel like a little scared, because at least to me, I feel like a lot of people, especially if they're not really educated about what a do-rag is, they might have lots of like negative stigma when it came to it. I remember someone asked me if I was in a gang when I wore my do-rag once, and I was like, oh, like that's really weird, because that's not what a do-rag is. It's just a thing to protect your hair. I wear it at night to protect my braids so they don't like frizz out. And I wanted to use it to express myself and to kind of destigmatize. And so I would say do-rags was like my first way into getting that exposure and getting to really what I feel like represent my culture, my Black culture. And it was also really nice to then be able to accessorize it, because I remember one time, I think I had like a pride flag on my do-rag, and it was really nice to have that intersectionality there of being Black and but still being able to be queer. Like the intersection of our identities can be really, really difficult to like navigate sometimes. And so being able to feel like you're sort of incorporating both into your style, into your fashion, was something that like brought me lots of joy and lots of pride.
That's really, really good to hear. And I'm really glad that you talked about the durag as well, just because you are right to say that there has been a lot of stigmatization. There has been a lot of stereotyping surrounding durags. It's usually associated with something that's bad, whereas what it was actually originally created for was to protect our hairs from frizzing out, just like you said, or creating waves for the guys who have low cuts. And honestly, it looks really, really good. And I don't see why the association has to be something bad when it was actually created to protect your hair and protect you from something that's actually bad. So rather than assuming that someone that you see wearing a do-rag or someone that you see wearing a hair bonnet is, you know, stereotypically a bad person, how about you ask them a question? Try to educate yourself, understand why they're wearing what they're wearing, and maybe you might be able to help out your friends who are in those situations but don't know what to do with their hairs by recommending these kind of things for them, as opposed to carrying the mentality that it's something that is bad. But thank you so much for touching base on that, because I really do think that fashion as a form of self-representation is a topic that needs to be talked about a lot. And just like Estefania had said, she is on her way to discover her fashion style. We have conversations a lot about this, and I've always told her, I feel like your style is like really chic, like very comfy, chic, you know, modern. But Estefania actually likes hippie clothes. We have talked about this. We went shopping one time, and you know, she was really gravitating towards the clothes. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to leave that for our summer episode. But speaking of fashion and just like, you know, outside of like the stereotypes and stuff like that, I guess my next question to you is, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who wants to start representing themselves, especially as someone who works here at McEwen University and someone who actually was a student here? Can you use your experiences to give advice to someone who is trying to step out of their comfort zone? Because I know there's students out there who probably are having full-on New York Fashion Weeks in their rooms, but cannot bring it to McEwen University because they're afraid. So what kind of advice would you give to this kind of people?
The first thing I would say is sometimes it's really hard, but I think it's to sort of find your people, because when you feel like you have people backing you, when you feel like you have support, even if it's just a friend or two, just like really taking advantage of like connection in that way to help you feel more safe, and then going from there. And then after that, I honestly would say just start small. If you're too scared to immediately wear like this big grand outfit that you wanted to wear, just wear the skirt instead of the entire outfit. Or if it was like a fit with like a really like, let's say, eclectic like jacket, maybe just like wear the jacket by itself and then go from there. You could sort of start small and then build from there, because then it would be like a more gradual shift. And if you're scared of people like confronting you or just like being weird with you, I feel like that gradual shift makes it so people aren't as surprised when they see you in like a more extravagant or more eclectic sort of outfit. But yeah.
Yeah, guys, and little by little we achieve milestones. So like if you start little by little, you know, maybe today is the hair, the skirt, like she mentioned, you're gonna get there. You're gonna be able to wear your closet all outside. So it's gonna be great. And actually, now that Aisha mentioned like about me like wanting to dress like more to the hippies, I actually have like these baggy pants. They look super hippie and like they actually look like pajama pants. But guys, like this is how it started, all right? Like I want to write a statement. I don't have the full confidence to write that statement. So I start with like maybe to like the pants, maybe the other day is a shirt. So it's actually a good start. It's actually like a really nice advice. So let's build confidence. But we also feel safety here at McEwen. We also feel like we can be open. So with that, freedom comes into play. So freedom, I think, is like one thing that it builds up. I don't feel like we're actually born free. Like we're born with our parents building like what we think and everything that we have in our brain, and then we go to school and then they shape us, and then it's shaping for many, many years. But I feel like when we get to come to university and we get to come to like the worst place, it's like, I'm here and this is who I am. So I think that McEwen is a great place to express that. SAMU is a great place to express that. Yeah, so it's freedom. So I feel like in Pride Week, That's what we celebrate, freedom as a whole. So what does Pride Week means to you? And guys, actually, we acknowledge that Pride Month is in June, but we gotta celebrate it here in McEwen, so it's in March, okay? Pride Week is in March. So what does Pride means to you?
I would say it's kind of about being like your most authentic self and actually feeling confident, comfortable, and like having a sort of sense of like, just like, again, like pride to it sort of thing. Because I think a lot of the times, no matter your identity, I think there's almost always a case where you're made to feel shame when it comes to if you want to express yourself with fashion, you're made to feel shame because you might feel like, oh, you're doing too much. And when it comes to being Black, even like you're made to feel shame if you're going to wear a bonnet up the house because that's not professional. Black people are made to feel shame even about certain hairstyles. I know in like the States, even there had to be a law passed where people couldn't be discriminated against if they were wearing locks or certain hairstyles out and about. And then as queer people too, you're made to feel shame for being queer. I would say a common phrase that a lot of queer people probably hear is, oh, like, why are you being so loud about it? Why are you being so explicit? Why are you like trying to force this onto other people? But that's never the case. It's more so about trying to live your most authentic life and trying to find that space to actually feel confident and just feel very secure in that identity and your identity.
Thank you so much for that. Honestly, I feel like the more we speak to you, the more it feels like we're getting a deeper dive into what it feels like to actually live a fully blown, colorful, self-representing, self-grounding life. I think it's very inspirational to just hear your side of things sometimes too, because again, not just like beyond fashion, our sexualities, our representations, our cultural backgrounds, our cultural, understanding of life. It's sometimes we get conflicted, especially when we come to school. Just like as Stephanie has said, even the McEwen does a good job of making sure that they create safe spaces for us. We have departments, just like you had said. Do you also want to just like mention a couple of departments for us, please, that students could actually go to?
Yes, absolutely. So I think I mentioned it before, CSGD, but it fully stands for the Center of Sexual and Gender Diversity. They have an entire room, again, like I said, with resources. They have like so many things that are very open, even with sexual health as well. They have condoms, any sort of condom, depending on your anatomy and like your sexual orientation. They have so many resources, again, to reach out if you're struggling. They have so many stickers to make you feel more prideful if you'd like to slap that onto like a water bottle or your laptop or anything. There's just so many things in there that tries to help you eliminate the shame that you might feel when it comes to being queer or just, again, like being diverse in any sort of way. Other departments that we have here on campus, again, I work in the Office of Sexual Violence Prevention, Education, and Response, and we're always doing programming, again, to sort of educate people on sexual violence because, unfortunately, we live in a world where sexual violence can stem from your gender to your sexuality to even just how you choose to express yourself. And so I feel like those are two of the departments that I feel like will really help if you're struggling with, again, anything to do with sexual or gender diversity or sexual gender, like violence or sexual and gender, just like education. But yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Actually, where are they located? Because I know there's a roundhouse in Building 11 in Allard Hall, but I'm not sure if those are the departments that you just mentioned. Are they?
Yeah, absolutely, they are. So CSGD is located in Roundhouse in Allard Hall, just on the first floor. And then the Office of Sexual Violence Prevention, Education, and Response is located just at the entrance of the Building 6, like library entrance, just over there. And we work with the Office of Human Rights as well, which also does lots of programming, again, to just sort of promote sexual and gender diversity.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I guess like my next pool question was just going to be like, how do you nurture your mental health? What are the kind of the things that you do as a, you're no longer a student, but you work here, right? So as a student, what were the things, the tips and tricks that you use to kind of build your mental health, nurture your mental health, take care of yourself, especially when you were still in this form or in this space where you're trying to fully blossom into the person you are today, which is so wonderful to see. Can you just give us a couple of tips and tricks on how to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to nurturing mental health, I think my first thing that I think of is, again, sort of seeking out community. And so that can look so different in so many different ways. Like as a Black person, you could join BSA, or as a queer person, you could join Inquiries the Club. But then there's also a significance in sort of seeking out community outside of school even. There's so many different things outside in the world that I feel like can help you just sort of feel that sense of community and feel more safe in whatever you're sort of doing. Besides that as well, I think I really like to engage with art that related to my identities or my intersection of like identities. And so I seeked out lots of Black art, I seeked out lots of queer art and lots of Black queer art. And so that also like showed in like many different ways. So it could be going to the art gallery, which is like a great resource. It's free for students as well. So if you'd ever want to visit that, there's so many different sort of art pieces there that I feel like really spoke to me and really calmed me. It's listening to music just maybe when you're feeling down. It's even creating your own sort of art. It's so many different beautiful ways, but I would definitely say that art and community is one of the ways that really helped me nurture my mental health.
Yeah, and I feel that's something also like always is like open your mind. Like if you think about pride, if you feel about like what to do during this time, it's like expressing. It's been like artistic. It's like anything can represent you and everything at the same time. So yeah, those are actually like really like great activities to like feel in the mood of like what we're celebrating. And guys, as an activity that you should add to your calendars, there's also like Queer Time Tuesday. It's always happen at the last Tuesday of every month. So you guys should come. It's actually really fun. We're moving to like, there's something to learn. There's always there people to speak with. I'm there. Aisha's always there. Our manager is always there. Hopefully Solana will there for the next time. Yes, we have like two queer professionals here in McEwen, Bon and Regan, and they will be able like to speak with students about like their experiences of like how being openly queer in the workspace. So guys, like, there's always something to do, to learn. Networking is there. Our first session that was in January, we have like therapy with Milo, which is a queer specialist therapist. So guys, it's a great place to join. There's always something new. We always want to teach you. There's always pastries and coffee by the meals. So if you ever have time between 11 to 1 during the last Tuesday of every month, come and join us. But this term, we have a bonus. Let's call it like this, a bonus, promotional time, a bonus. So we have Pride Lounge. It's happening on March 9th from 1 to 3. And this is actually like quite good because on March 9th also is the opening of Pride Week of McEwen. So there's going to be a march, like a Pride March. That's how we call it when people go openly Pride. Yes, that from Building 6 to Building 11. And then we're going to host, Sam is hosting the Pride Lounge. So guys, it looks promising. Let me tell you that. We're going to have line dancing. We're going to have food. We're going to have a DJ. So we're going to have dirty sodas. So come and join us. Be there. So Ara, you will be there, right? Guys, I'm compromising her to be there right now. Like whoever is watching the podcast, if you don't see Solara there, come to me and be like, I'm having a speak with Solara today. So done with the promotional time. Back to Solara. If you have a message for students during this time, you know that like there are many students that are shy, especially the queer students that come to Queer Time Tuesday, and you know you can see there is so many students that are afraid of like being themselves, right? Like what would you say to those students that feel lonely in this time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a piece of advice that I also kind of applied for myself is, again, yes, it's like, it can be very lonely, but I also think you should try your best to sort of seek out other people. So again, going to Queer Time Tuesday, and even if maybe you're not in the mood to speak to anyone, just being in that present, being in that space. And so then people will recognize you. So maybe the next Queer Time Tuesday, you're feeling a bit more social and you like see like a familiar face. I feel like it makes you more comfortable, and it makes other people more comfortable as well to want to come up to you, because they're like, oh, hey, like I saw you at last Queer Time Tuesday. I didn't get to speak to you, but maybe I loved like your outfit and I'd love to get to know you more. And so I think just like consistently showing up helps people know that you are someone that is sort of seeking community out, and also vice versa as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I genuinely think that you hit the nail on the head. And Stephanie also asked the perfect question, because yes, you always have to seek out these communities, and that was the only way I was able to discover you. Actually, that was not how I discovered you. Again, the aura was just always aurating. You would just see Solara passing by, you would have to whip your head, because like, who is she? And then I had the opportunity to actually speak to her one-on-one, and I got to know the wonderful things that she has been doing. She goes above and beyond to be a great source of representation for Black students, for Black people, for queer people, for people who want to be themselves, be it through fashion, be it through art, be it through activism, be it through advocacy, be it through living a very wonderful life, even outside of McEwen as well. It's just wonderful to know that McEwen has been able to produce wonderful students as yourself, and you have blossomed to be this person that you are truly today. So thank you so much for joining our podcast today. And again, like Estefania had said, we have Pride Lounge happening in March, and we also have Queer Time Tuesday that happens every last Tuesday of every month. And just like Estefania had said as well, we always have facilitators coming in, professionals, therapists. Sometimes we just have a little chat. There's always crafting going on. There's some art pieces. You can make art.
CSGD is always there too.
CSGD is always there too. Exactly. But yeah, thank you so much again for being here with us today. If you have any final words you want to give to our audiences before we wrap up, please do.
I guess I'll just say happy Black History Month and happy upcoming McEwen Pride Week. I hope to see everyone out and about sort of, being very joyful and just celebrating during these very joyful times. So yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
And this has been
Free Range Connections. Mike Strokes.